Hello there, and a very warm welcome to the weekly career question with me, Emmy Peterson. I've been working as a career transition coach here at the Bridge Coaching since 2013, helping people just like you create change in their career, whether that be big change or smaller steps that you're looking to take to change your career. And in my time as a career coach, I have had many questions from clients and people that I chat to on the regular. And one question that I do want to cover, because it has come up quite a few times, is this one here, which is I'm earning good money in my job, but I still feel unhappy. Why is that? And it's a pretty big question to answer because this will be very personal to you. But what I will say, regardless who you are and how much you're currently earning, is that money is only one of many important things in life. And yes, some people are very money driven, so they like to, earn a comfortable income and things like that. And for some people, they're not money driven at all. It's just sort of a means to an end because they need money to live and pay for things and be comfortable. But regardless how money or challenge driven that you might be, the tips I'm going to share with you today, 3 simple tips or reflections rather, that might answer this question if this resonates with you. So the first thing is to acknowledge that money is reflected in the core need for certainty. So I've got a YouTube video specifically about the core need for certainty, but it's essentially a deep human need to know what's going to happen, to be able to plan, to know that we'll be taken care of and the people that we love will be taken care of. And by having a steady job and earning good money or comfortable money or whatever that looks like for you, for some people, we are willing to trade an awful lot of other things in exchange for that certainty. So for example, even if you felt unhappy in your job and you're like, why do I still do this? Why do I still go there every day? Well, it's probably because you need the certainty of the income coming in so that you can take care of your current lifestyle and perhaps save or build your wealth for the future. But the core need for certainty will never go away. For some people, it's stronger than others. So depending on who you are, you might resonate more or less with this. I'm certainly very certainty driven. I love to save and budget and plan. So for me, many times in my life, I've had to reflect on my need for certainty and if it's controlling the situation too much, especially when it comes to work. So that's kind of the baseline. The second thing to then reflect on is if your values, so your personal values, are not matching the organization's values or the company that you work for, there might be a bit of a boundary issue. So let's talk about this one in a little bit more detail. And if you do a one-on-one session with me or join one of my programs, the values exercise is one of the key things that we do together to make sure that you are clear on your values and can then shape your communication either with your existing company or when you're looking for other work, you can position that according to your values. So first of all of your values, so let's say that I really valued, freedom and flexibility, and I really valued traveling, and I really valued the environment, for example. So if those are some of my values, all of them don't need to be met in my work or by my company. But if there's overlap on more than one of them, I will feel happier and more connected to the work that I do. So for example, if I really care about the environment and the company that I work for doesn't either are neutral, so they never talk about it or mention it, and or they don't care about it at all, and I feel like it goes against my values, over time it will probably start kind of going, I get the certainty of the income, but it feels wrong. I'm not happy. It doesn't make me feel connected at all. Same thing goes for freedom and flexibility. During the pandemic, a lot of us have worked from home and many companies have stepped up their flexibility and said, we are happy for our staff to work at home all the time or half the time or whatever that is. So if you value freedom and flexibility, you would probably be really happy with that and feeling like, yep, this is great. This is really helping me have that flexibility in how and when I do my work. But what I mean by boundaries is that if you feel like you're being forced or urged down a certain path that is not aligned with your values, it will feel wrong. And I often say to people, if your gut feeling about something is wrong, that deep gut feeling that we all have and sometimes ignore, I'm very guilty of that too, then it's usually a boundary issue. So when we feel like we have to compromise on our values and our boundaries, which is basically what is okay with you. And if it starts to feel really wrong, especially over a period of time, it means probably that there's some kind of imbalance there. And the only way for me to really know and unpack that is if we have a one-on-one conversation. But reflect a little bit on this, because if you haven't done any work around your own personal values, that's a place you can really start. And finally, what I refer to as the magic triangle. I talk to this in a few different ways when it comes to career, but one way of thinking about the magic triangle is the win-win-win. So to have true purpose and true, I guess, a true win or true value add, there's 3 different aspects to consider. So the win, it has to be a win for you as the individual. So you have to feel like, yes, what I do is meaningful for me. I feel connected and happy, and I'm getting comfortable money for my contribution. But obviously it also has to be valuable to the company, right? So it has to be a win. Your role and contribution within the company has to be meaningful for them, because otherwise, obviously, at some point you won't have a job anymore. So it has to be a win-win that, you know, you're reasonably happy and comfortable with how things are going, and the company is as well. The piece I often see missing, and why people eventually go to other organizations, is because the company's role doesn't have a connection to the wider society that it operates within. Meaning, is it supporting another cause? Is the company and the services and products that they sell there to solve a specific problem in the wider community and to contribute to the wider world? Sometimes this can be related to volunteering and charity and other things that the company does, but very often it's just simply, does the company ever talk about something else than earning money or growing or getting market share? You know, is there something that they talk about that hooks into your values or your beliefs or what really lights you up? So I often say that the win-win-win triangle is basically, when it's a win for you as a person, it's a win for the company, and it's a win for the wider society. And if you're in the right place, and I've been in this position many times in my career, is that I notice a need out in the wider society. And if I have a good enough relationship with my manager and my leadership team, I can actually bring that to them and say, wouldn't it be great if we could align our mission and vision and values with a beautiful cause like this one, so that we could support this initiative out in the community or out in the world that we operate in. And you may not be in a position to do that. There has been many times where I haven't. But it's one of those things, like, you know, if you see a need, if you see an opportunity to connect to something bigger than just you and your role and the company, that is when we start to feel better, and we start to feel like our work has a little bit more meaning. Because if it feels a little bit meaningless, that might be one of the many things. In a future question, I'm actually going to cover this in more detail, but there's a concept floating around at the moment. It's 2021 as I filmed this video, called the Great Resignation. And it's a recent study done, I think, by Microsoft, which is saying that 41% of the global population is considering to change jobs this year. Just think about that for a second. With the billions of people we have in the world, 41% are considering or aiming to change their jobs this year. That's a huge movement of people. And I bet you that a lot of the people who are thinking about that are thinking about it because it's not just about the money anymore. It's about enjoying what you do, having value and meaning and purpose in what you do. So this is just my take on this. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, of course. If you have any follow-up questions or anything's come up for you, feel free to email me with your question. I'm happy to answer it via email. I also always offer a free complimentary chat if you haven't worked with me before, so we can have a bit of a chat and see if some of my career coaching solutions might be helpful for you. So you can find all of that detail via my website, thebridgecoaching.com.au. Also, if you have a question that you'd like me to cover in a future video here, please feel free to send that through. I'm more than happy to include that in future videos. All the best, and I can't wait to see you next week, where we'll cover another really great question, so stay tuned for that one.